In the late autumn of 1966, the town of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, entered a 13-month period of repeated, violent encounters. Witness accounts didn't describe a ghost or a spirit, but a 7-foot-tall biological entity standing among the headstones of a local cemetery. Its anatomy was optimized for power, a barrel-chested, heavily muscled torso covered in a dense charcoal-black pelt of avian mammalian fur. It featured 2 specialized traits: massive, patterned wings with a 15-foot span and enormous, lidless eyes that emitted a vibrant, hypnotic red bioluminescence. A creature of this mass presents a significant aerodynamic challenge. At 7 feet tall and heavily muscled, it lacks the power-to-weight ratio required for a traditional winged takeoff. Yet the first documented report from gravediggers in Clendenin described a brown human shape that didn't struggle for lift. It simply soared over the trees in total silence. The creature's musculoskeletal structure reveals a different mechanism for flight. Rather than flapping to generate lift, those spindly, powerful legs provide an explosive vertical thrust, propelling the body into instant altitude. These initial encounters suggest the town was being watched by a predator, evolved for silent, rapid ascent surveillance. On November 15, 1966, 2 couples encountered this specialized biology in the field near an abandoned explosives manufacturing facility. As they fled in their vehicle, the creature unfurled its wings and pursued them, pacing the car at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. To maintain that velocity, it relied on high-efficiency gliding. Locking its 15-foot wingspan into a rigid position minimized drag. This massive surface area allowed it to draft off the car's wake, utilizing the vehicle's momentum to stay glued without a single wing beat. Witnesses described glowing red eyes reflecting in the rearview mirror and a high-pitched, mechanical shriek that preceded the creature banking away into the woods. The TNT pursuit established the Mothman as a physically dominant predator capable of outperforming modern machinery through sheer aerodynamic refinement. By the winter of 1967, sightings moved from the woods to the Silver Bridge, which spanned the Ohio River. Residents began reporting a dark shape perched high on the bridge's suspension chains, its red eyes visible through the thick river fog. For a high-altitude glider, the bridge offered a perfect vantage point. From the top of the steel trusses, it could observe the entire valley in silence. On December 15, 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed. 46 people died as the steel gave way during the evening rush hour. The tragedy immediately reshaped the creature's identity. Survivors and locals claim to have seen the massive wings hovering over the river moments before the collapse, viewing its presence as a warning rather than a coincidence. Because a biological predator chose a structurally failing bridge as a hunting perch, the town redefined a physical animal as a supernatural omen. In the decades following the disaster, the Mothman was treated as a regional ghost story, a dark piece of West Virginian folklore. Modern research has since shifted the focus away from the myth and back toward the physical evidence of the creature's existence. Investigating the 1966 encounters requires looking for a biological precedent, evidence that this wasn't an isolated event, but part of a much older lineage. That evidence appeared in the archives of a 1920s industrial excavation, where a crew was clearing a coal seam deep within the West Virginia mountains. The dig team uncovered a 7-foot skeletal imprint embedded in the rock. The fossil featured a necklace torso and a distinct petrified wing structure spread wide against the coal wall. The dimensions and skeletal structure of this fossil match the biological descriptions provided by Point Pleasant witnesses 40 years later. The Mothman appears to be a surviving member of a lineage that predates the coal seams themselves, an ancient predator that has refined its silent aerial surveillance over millions of years.
If you visit downtown Point Pleasant today, you'll find the legend of the 7-foot Mothman meticulously preserved. The town practically orbits around the stories of what happened in the 1960s. Outside the gift shops, the approach to this mystery has shifted toward the laboratory. Researchers now analyze the creature as a functional skeletal system. Today, institutions like the Center for Fortean Zoology collaborate with the Mothman Museum to treat contemporary reports as data points for forensic analysis. The objective of this modern inquiry is to move the subject from folklore into biology. Investigators are deploying high-altitude atmospheric sensors and digital flight path models to determine if this is a rare living species. Tracking an undiscovered predator in the modern era requires a high standard of evidence. We have to strip away the 1960s supernatural framing before we can accurately identify a very real animal in the woods. This chart outlines the first step in building a biological profile, establishing physical constants. Across decades of reports, eyewitnesses describe a 7-foot-tall humanoid with a necklace head and a massive 15-foot wingspan. It's often assumed these sightings are products of low light conditions. However, reports from the intermediate period, specifically from a park ranger in 2002, provide an entirely different and clear context. The ranger observed a dark shape perched on an old observation tower. The silhouette was high contrast against the midday sky, clearly revealing its physical mass. This daylight encounter allowed the ranger to confirm the heavy charcoal black pelt and those glowing red eyes, which mirrored the original descriptions from 1966. When physical morphology remains this consistent over 40 years, regardless of the lighting or the era, the evidence points toward a persistent population, rather than a shared illusion. Beyond its physical appearance, the investigation tracks how this creature interacts with its environment. During a 1994 power outage in Mason County, multiple residents spotted the giant humanoid loitering near electrical substations, seemingly attracted to the humming equipment. This behavior suggests the creature may function as an electromagnetic specialist. By utilizing localized EM fields, it could navigate and hunt in total darkness with extreme precision. When police approached, witnesses described a soundless vertical takeoff. As it ascended, its wings revealed a specific biological trait: vibrant orange and black eye spots on the underside, a common defense mechanism in many moth species. This combination of silent flight and a specific attraction to industrial power grids suggests a highly specialized animal, adapted to the specific landscape of the Ohio River Valley. The search for physical proof led researchers into the abandoned TNT area in April 2026. This region remains one of the most secluded industrial ruins in the state. To secure objective data, the team deployed autonomous drones equipped with 4K sensors, hoping to find a biological relic in the lightless bunkers. The drone captured a brief flash of the entity perched on a concrete wall. The footage shows the 15-foot wings folded against a muscular back, with its lidless eyes glowing through internal bioluminescence. Inside those same ruins, investigators recovered a trace biological sample. Rigorous sequencing ensured the results weren't contaminated. When compared against known avian and mammalian baselines, the sequence entirely diverges. The genetic markers do not match any recognized species in our databases. This combination of 4K drone imagery and verified anomalous DNA moves the creature from the realm of the theoretical. The data confirms a 7-foot winged giant is currently inhabiting the lightless voids of West Virginia. The findings from these investigations converge on a single profile: an organism of substantial mass, specialized behavior, and unique genetics. For decades, the Mothman was defined by the tragedy of the Silver Bridge collapse, but the creature has outlived that 1960s folklore, existing long after the bridge was cleared from the water. It is an apex predator that has adapted to the modern industrial ruins. It utilizes the power grids and the shadows of our infrastructure to remain hidden. Even with 4K cameras and DNA sequencing, we are merely observing a species that has mastered its environment. We have documented its existence, but we have not captured it. Forensic technology has demystified the legend, only to confirm the reality behind it. As long as those red eyes glow from the ruins, the Mothman remains the unchallenged master of the night.